Welcome back, mamas. Y'all, today we are going to talk about priorities, why they are so important to know where your priorities lie, and then the importance of prioritizing your priorities and how you do that. I'm going to use some real life examples to walk you through this and why it's so important. This is exactly what we do in my coaching program and how doing this can have such a big impact on your life. Okay, so let's get to it. Do you wish you had control of your days, that you had a rhythm, but instead feel overwhelmed, scattered, and like there's never enough time? You're in the right place. I'm Danielle, a recovering workaholic, wife, and stay-at-home mom of 2 girls. I've learned how to reclaim my time and find purpose and freedom so I can be present with my kids and feel like myself again. Here, we embrace where we are, but we don't stay there. So if you're ready to trade the chaos for clarity, the guilt for grace, and the endless to-do list for aligned flow, grab the kiddos a snack and toss in that laundry because I know you're multitasking, and let's do this because your time, your purpose, and you matter. Okay, mamas, priorities. That's what we're going to talk about today. Yes, the podcast is called Prioritize with Purpose for a reason, because this is kind of the start, the key, the thing that we need to do in order to live the life that we want to live. Okay. And this has been popping into my head this week because I am kind of all over the place right now. I have let my children get into so many activities that they have me running here, there, the other place. If I did not have help from other people, then I would not be able to handle all of the activities that we have gotten ourselves into. And I started to think about it, and it's kind of funny because I know I used to think, and I probably even said at some point that I would never be that mom. I would never let my kids get involved in all of these things where life was so crazy that we were just always doing, right? But this is where we are. This is what has happened. And I don't even understand, honestly, how it happened. I feel like it all just happened. And maybe I didn't do enough planning on the front end, right? We talk a lot about planning on the podcast. And I really do believe that it has been poor planning on my part. And also just really not, I guess, taking into consideration before all of these seasons started, how much they would actually overlap. So I want to kind of use this as an example of how we need to do this with our mom lives, right? Because we get into, you may be right now feeling like you are pulled in a million different directions, like you have so much on your plate, like you have gotten yourself into all of these things. I remember back when it was me who was, into all of the things, and I was into the PTA, and I had started a business, and I was the president of the UK Alumni Association, and I was volunteering. And I mean, I was doing all of the things. And it was killing me, right? I was not prioritizing what was important to me. I had just gotten involved in all of this stuff. And I know better, right? Like, I know better. I have walked the walk. Like, I know that I need to do this type of thing. And yet, here I sit now in it again because of what I have let my children get involved in, right? And so we are like literally eating dinner every night at like 8 p.m. Because I want to at least keep dinner together as a family. So we're not eating it, 3, 4 different times of the evening. I wanted to keep at least the family dinner together. I feel like that's a really important thing to do. But we literally are not eating till 8 p.m. because that's when Michaela gets done with her cheer. And it has gotten to be so overwhelming. And when we find ourselves in this position, we need to go back and look at our priorities, right? And so when these seasons are over, that's what I'm going to do. I want to read a quote here. This is from Mark Twain, and it says, "To change your life, you need to change your priorities. To change your life, you need to change your priorities." And I don't know, like, my family is super important to me, and I don't necessarily know that we need to change our priorities right now. However, I do know that when I look back at where I sat, a long time ago when I was getting myself into all of these things where you may be sitting today because you feel like you've wanted more for yourself and you're staying at home. Like I knew I didn't want to just be a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to do, like, when I say just a stay-at-home mom, I mean I wanted to like volunteer and I wanted to be involved in the kids' school and get them involved in activities, and like not the type of person that would just ever like sit around and do crafts and like homeschool and those kind of things. Like that wouldn't be something that would drive me. I need like some outside motivation. And so I started to try to find it in all the wrong places, right? Because I hadn't done my priorities. Now, what has happened now is my kids are loving the things that they're involved in. However, I feel like it has become a problem for like just Michaela is so tired, right? She's involved in so many things that even though she doesn't have much homework, like she hardly has any homework, she has all of these activities after school that have her going until 8 p.m. Then she eats dinner and then it's time to turn around and go to bed and wake up tomorrow and do it all over again. And, she hardly has a down day of the week. Like it's like always something. With Gabriella, she has two different sports that she's involved in right now, and they're about to come to an end and they have overlapped, but she has a lot of homework. And so on the nights that she has sports and homework, which, she has sports and homework 4 of the 5 nights a week, it is a lot for her, right? It's a lot for her. And so we need to reevaluate things when this season is over and say, okay, where are our priorities? And that's what we need to do as moms as well. I know I've talked about finding your core values. That's kind of the second step of this process. Like when we do coaching together, what I do is I take you through these steps, right? Like we uncover who you are, what is important to you at this moment in time. We figure out what your priorities are. We have this process that we walk through and you evaluate like where you think you are in these different areas. And then we see which one you want to focus on and which ones are most important to you. And we go through and we uncover your core values. And, core values a lot of times can change once you become a mother. You're always still going to have the same values, but the ones that are on top, the ones that you prioritize, the ones that are most important to you are the ones that are going to change, right? Like your top, I like to keep it to 3 to 5 top core values. Now, we filter all of our decisions through those core values. And I think at the end of this season, that's what I'm going to wind up doing with my children is sitting them down and saying, okay, what is important to you? Like, what are the things that you're loving and what are the things that maybe we need to pare back and, just kind of go through that same process with them. But I really believe it's so important to figure it out and then to prioritize your priorities, right? When your values are clear to you, making decisions become easier. That is a quote from Roy E. Disney. When your values are clear to you, making decisions becomes easier because we know where our values lie. We know what's important to us in this season, and it becomes a lot easier to make decisions based on those values. So that's like the second step of what we do in my coaching program is we go through your core values and we really figure out what those are and what's important to you. And then we go into your strengths, right? And we figure out what your strengths are. But I wanted to read another quote here. This quote is from Stephen Covey, and he says, "The key is not to prioritize what's on your schedule, but to schedule your priorities." So once we figure out what your priorities are, right? Then we have to schedule them. We have to schedule time for them. And when you don't do that, when we don't take the time to plan for our priorities, then guess what happens? Life happens, right? And we just start to do all of the things. Stephen Covey has another quote that says, when you have too many top priorities, you effectively have no top priorities. So when we don't take the time to get still and get clear on what is most important to us and why, then we start to have no top priorities because everything becomes a priority because everything seems important in the moment, right? We have everyone else outside of us and our family, pulling us in a lot of different directions. I think I talked a couple of weeks ago about how we get sucked into saying yes to things and yes to people. And, in my case, I got sucked into saying yes to my kids and all of their activities that they wanted to do, right? And so here we are in the midst of it all. And now it's like, oh my gosh, what have we done? And I am not going to, I don't think it's okay to quit something once you start it, right? I think you have to finish it through. And so I would never like advocate for my child to quit a sport or whatever. Like, this is our problem. Like, we said yes, now we need to figure it out, right? And so we've made it work, right? But now we know better for next time. And so you may be in that feeling, in that overwhelm, in that place where you just feel like you're drowning in all of your to-dos. You're drowning in overwhelm. You're drowning in your mom life. And it's because you haven't taken the time to get clear and get still and to figure out what your priorities are. What is the most important thing to you right now? Where are your core values right now? How do we filter all of those things through your core values to come out the other side with a schedule and a plan and a life that you love, a life that leaves you feeling filled instead of drained, right? Like, I have gotten to a point where my life fills me up, right? But right now I have so much going on with my children that I'm still drained, right? Like, I am feeling the effects of me letting this happen to my children. And it's easy, right? It's easy to fall back into the trap if we don't keep in check with ourselves, right? If we don't keep this in check. So this is what I do in my coaching, right? Like, this is what we do. We sit down, we get super clear on what it is that you want, what it is that is important to you, because you may not even really be able to tell what's important to you. You might think you know what's important to you, and you might actually think that you have your priorities under control. However, if you are getting to the end of your day and you are super overwhelmed, if you wake up in the morning already stressed out, if you have so much going on that you feel like you have no time for anything else, like, then that is when that is your like guide right there. That's a red flag that is telling you, like, we need to figure this out. We need to get clear on that. And that's what I want to help you do in the prioritization clarity call that I do with you. We figure these things out. It's a process. We take it step by step. And I know that if you do this, that you will wind up in a place where you feel like you have these productive, fulfilling days versus these draining days where you feel like you don't even know how you're going to make it to the next day, right? I remember being like so overwhelmed when I just woke up, right? Like, just thinking about all of the things that I had to do, and none of them really filled my cup. Right? They were things that I thought I should be doing, but they were not things that I should have been doing because they were not giving me and my family any life, right? They were not appropriate for that point in time, and they were not for that season. Right? Some of those things might have filled my cup had it been a different season of life, right? But they just were not doing it in that season. And so sometimes we can fall back into the trap of doing things that we used to do. And that is something that we may not even realize is draining us. I know I didn't. I know I didn't really understand what it was that was draining me. And I knew that something was, and it was just everything, right? It was everything. And I feel like I've let my kids get into this right now. And I need to take my own advice that I've done for my life and actually start doing it for the kids, right? And for them to walk through this same thing of what is important to them. Like, what do they really want? Like, I mentioned all of the different areas before, and they're like family and relationships and faith and health and finances, and just there's a host of different things that can be important to you in your life. And how do you feel like you're doing in all of those areas, right? Like, I hate the word balance because you're never going to get like a balance of everything. You can't give an equal weight to all of those things at the same time. But I like to think of it as an aligned flow where you know what your priorities are, what is most important to you, what you're focused on at this point in time. Those priorities are top, and everything else you're doing pretty good in, right? Like you feel like you have a handle on that. If you don't feel like you have a handle on these 8 areas of your life, then you are going to feel very out of alignment, right? And so we talk about really what those areas are and which ones are your top priorities right now. And then we get deep on your core values, your strengths, all of these things. And we can create this aligned flow so that you can focus on the things that you need to focus on without completely dropping the ball on all the other things that are still important in your life. We try to focus on where you're feeling the most out of alignment or the most, discontentment with where you are in that area, because it's most likely that you need some help in that area and that you are wanting to focus on that area in some way, shape, or form. You're neglecting that area. And so we need to put some weight there, right? And so we need to figure out how to do that. And your priorities are going to change from season to season. And so this is something that you have to reevaluate. It's not something you can do like once and done, right? It's something that you have to reevaluate depending on the season of your year, of your life, of your motherhood journey, right? And so this is what we do with the prioritization clarity calls. If you think this is something that you need, I would love to walk with you through it. Like I said, I've been where you are in that overwhelmed feeling, and it is so crippling sometimes that I know that I didn't know where to start or what to do. And so that's why I have developed this so that you do not have to do this on your own or try to figure it out on your own. I now know the steps that you need to take to get you to where you want to be. So I would love to walk through that with you. Go to prioritizewithpurpose.com, prioritizewithpurpose.com/coaching, and sign up for one of those prioritization clarity calls. Or I'm also offering a discovery call. Like if you think you have questions still about it and you aren't ready to quite sign up for that call yet, you can schedule one of those. It'll be one-on-one with me. I'll get your questions answered so that we can get you into one of those clarity calls, so that you can get on the path that you want to be on for you and your family. So until next week, y'all, just take a minute and check in with yourself. Where are you on the contentment scale, right? Like, where are you? Do you need to prioritize? Do you need to check in on all of these areas of your life and to see what's most important to you? Are you all over the place and feeling so scattered and like you're going in a million different directions? If so, just take some time to get still and get clear this week on maybe what it is that you can prune out or where you think you might need to focus, or schedule a call with me, right? Do one of those things and take some action towards getting yourself out of that feeling of overwhelm, right? We don't have to stay there. I know that you feel like you're on this hamster wheel, but you don't have to stay there, right? And it could start with prayer too. I know that was really key for me, is to get clear by prayer, right? Like ask God, like, what is it? What do I need to prune for my life? Where am I focused that I don't need to focus? Or what is distracting me from where I need to be focused, right? So let's get our priorities in line, okay? Till next week, y'all. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, Mama. If so, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts and then hit share and send this to a mom who needs this in her day. I'll meet you right back here next week. Keep smiling, y'all.